Welcome back. You're watching To The Point. What impact has reinvigorated Rahul Gandhi had on the fortunes and the morale of the Congress party, on his own prospects to become party president, and on the issues that he champions, such as opposition to the land acquisition amendments, as well as the wider farmers' distress? Those are the subjects I shall touch on in a moment's time with the most experienced Congress MP, 9-time Congress MP, former minister, and the pro tem speaker of the Lok Sabha on the grounds that he's the longest-serving member of the Lok Sabha, Kamal Nath. Mr. Kamal Nath, there's an impression that after his leave of absence, Rahul Gandhi has returned a reinvigorated and more forceful politician. In fact, the press is convinced we're seeing Rahul Gandhi Mark II. What impact has this had on the morale of the Congress party?
Well, obviously the morale is very good because we are seeing a refreshed Rahul Gandhi who's more proactive. He's always been engaged on party affairs, but he's never been that proactive. The very fact that he's proactive now is sending a message to Congress workers across the country that here is a Rahul Gandhi who is incisive, who is attacking, and who is very proactive.
Now, you're, as I said, a 9-time MP. You're probably the most experienced congressman in the Lok Sabha today. How did you view the rally speech that Rahul Gandhi did on Sunday, as well as his 2 interventions in Parliament on Monday and Wednesday? What do you think made them truly special? Was it, in fact, his new assertiveness and style of delivery? Was it his content? Or was it his rhetorical flourishes which had the BJP on the back foot?
Well, it was the issues also. We must not forget these are issues which are affecting a very large population in the country. And Rahul Gandhi, when he touched upon these issues and was proactive in attacking, in highlighting the failures of this government in this area. Obviously, the speech went down very well at the rally and then in Parliament, because today our agricultural sector is a total mess.
In fact, beyond the issues, and I'll come to them in a moment's time, Rahul used a lot of rhetoric. He kept referring deliberately to Mr. Modi as your Prime Minister. When the BJP protested, he turned it on his head by saying to them, so don't you accept him as your Prime Minister? And that actually scored points. This was a new wit, this was a new confidence that we haven't seen in him before.
Well, it never came out, but Rahul Gandhi has always been very witty. He's always been very witty. So I don't see, the only change I see in him is that he has become more proactive and he's more incisive. You're seeing more of him. Previously you saw less of him.
Which is why we are noticing a wit we never noticed previously.
Absolutely. You're seeing a Rahul Gandhi which one could see in a one-to-one meeting with him, but you could never see it on the television screens.
But you're also noticing a flair for rhetoric. We hadn't seen that earlier.
Yeah, well, he's always had a flair for rhetoric. When he talks to you, he's in a meeting, he's very sharp.
Now that flair is obvious in his speeches as well.
Well, yes, obviously, because that's now coming out more and it's more pronounced.
Now, one of his key arguments in his rally speech on Sunday was to say to the audience that the reason why Mr. Modi had won the elections in May 2014 is because he'd taken thousands of crores as loans from crore-patis, and now he would repay that debt by forcing farmers to sell their land cheaply. It was a point that scored very heavily with the audience, but many people turned around and said that there's no way Rahul Gandhi can prove this, and to some it amounted to calumny.
How did BJP fund its campaign? The entire publicity, you would understand if you put a cost to it. Where did that money come from? It didn't come from abroad. It came from the industrialists.
But the claim that it was a loan taken in thousands of crores from industrialists and then that he would repay it by forcing farmers to sell their land cheaply, that claim is unproven.
Well, a contribution is made expecting something. And that is why now the business community was expecting is that they will get land acquired by the government. I do not see why industry...
Can't the BJP
I do
say
not
the same of Congress?
No, because we have not taken anti-people measures. We are not taking steps to appease the business community.
So you're saying the fact that these loans have been given in return and in expectation of favors is proven by what you call anti-people measures, the fact that the land acquisition is going through the way it is?
Absolutely, because industry now can hope, and that's the saga of the land acquisition bill over the last 50 years.
So you don't think this is calumny or slander, as I suggested?
I don't think it's slander at all. He's just pointing out that all these contributions, you have to pay back. There is a IOU. Once you make a contribution, you're not making a religious contribution. Okay. You are making a political contribution.
The second problem is that no one would deny that Rahul Gandhi made a very good start, but people question whether he can keep it up. They look at his earlier initiatives. in the Nyamgiri Hills, in Bhola Parsot, at the fact that he took industrialists to Srinagar, at the fact that he spent nights in Talit homes. And people say all of them attracted a lot of attention when they happened, but they were one-offs. He didn't follow on. Will Rahul Gandhi persist and follow on?
Well, I'm confident that this momentum will be kept up. And Rahul Gandhi, with his being more, coming back refreshed, and with the most important of all, what happened with Rahul Gandhi was before he left, over 3-4 months, he held intensive discussions with party leaders, party workers across the country. And I think that is the reflection which he has done.
You said you're confident this momentum will be kept up. What gives you that confidence? Is it just hope, or is there something more?
Well, what I've talked to him in the last 7 days, last 5 days, I am confident that he's going to keep this momentum up.
Now, a third problem with Rahul Gandhi is his track record over the last almost 11 years as an MP. PRS Legislative Research has calculated that in these almost 11 years, he's done a total of just 10 speeches and interventions taken together, and his attendance is a very poor 52%. And people say, for someone who wants to be Prime Minister one day, that's not a commendable record.
Well, I don't think attendance has anything to do with performance, because attendance, I have been in Parliament for 35 years, and I go away to my constituency, I go here, some days I'm busy meeting people, I don't go to Parliament.
But a 52% attendance over 11 years?
I think a 52% attendance cannot be termed bad, because
he can hardly be termed good.
He is not only an MP. Please remember that. He is also the Vice President of the Congress Party. He is to meet people throughout the day. When Parliament is session, should he sit there every day? I don't think. If he did sit there every day, I would myself urge him that please don't come here every day.
So you think just making 10 speeches and interventions, remember it's 10 speeches and interventions, and some of those interventions barely lasted a minute, and a 52% attendance is acceptable for a man who wants to be PM one day?
Well, I must say that Rahul Gandhi, it's only about a year and a half, or sorry, 2.5 years since he became Congress Vice President. Prior to that, he was just an MP. He was not that active.
But just MPs still have to attend the House.
Yeah, but then he's done 52%, which I think is a good number.
Let me tell you why I asked that. Before Rahul Gandhi's return, senior members of your party like Amarinder Singh, spokesman of your party like Sandeep Dixit had publicly said that Sonia Gandhi should continue as party president, that it would be a risk if Rahul Gandhi were to take over the presidency at this moment of time. Those were voices of opposition, those were voices of concern that echoed through other people as well. As far as the press is concerned, Ambika Soni, K.V. Thomas, Gurudas Das Kamath, Veerappa Moily, all were reported to have said similar things. Isn't that a sign that people still are concerned about Rahul, his commitment, his judgment?
Well, I don't think so. I think everybody may have his own opinion. I do not exactly know what they have said. But I do know that when Rahul Gandhi becomes president of the party, it's going to be welcomed by these same people, because it's something which Mrs. Gandhi...
Because they have no choice, they have to welcome him.
Mrs. Gandhi and Rahul have to decide on the timing, and that timing can be any time. So it's for them to decide, and I'm sure that if I say Mrs. Gandhi has given outstanding leadership to the Congress, she's not disappearing, she's not going to go into retirement.
But she will stop being president when he takes over. You can't have two people running a party, only one can.
That's all right. She can eventually be the mentor of the party, but she's not retiring.
But a mentor steps back, the president runs the party.
From the day-to-day affairs, yes.
Let me quote to you one of the things Captain Amarinder Singh said. He's your former chief minister. He could be a future chief minister in Punjab if you win the election someday. He said, a man can't expect to become captain of the ship after just 10 years. And then he added, Rahul Gandhi has a lot to learn, and he needs to do that learning as vice president under Sonia Gandhi. Now, I put it to you, the party's morale has gone up because of one good rally speech and 2 interventions in parliament. But a man as seasoned and senior as Amarinder Singh is not going to change his opinion because of 1 rally speech and 2 interventions. He still believes this.
Well, I believe, and I said this before on record, that Rahul Gandhi should be the president. Now, it's his view versus mine. I certainly have much more experience, and I have been talking through experience. I've seen Mrs. Indira Gandhi, I've seen Rajiv Gandhi, I've seen Sanjay Gandhi, I've seen them all, and I think...
And you see echoes of them in Rahul Gandhi?
Absolutely, I see echoes of them.
Do you know what Sandeep Dixit said to me just a week ago? He said 97 to 98% of the party believed that this was not the time to change the presidency. Sonia Gandhi must continue for 2, 3 or 4 years. Rahul was needed as vice president, but it would be risky to make him president at this point of time. He said 97 to 98% of the party.
I think that's totally incorrect. It's not that I don't have a sense of the party. I have, I think, a much more of a sense of a party. And I know it's nowhere near that. And there's nobody who's opposed to him. They are talking of timing.
Absolutely.
They're talking of timing.
Absolutely.
They're not opposed to it.
Timing is critical. People say you need Sonia now, and you need her particularly because she has experience and judgment. She's suffered to bring the party back. She's struggled to bring the party back. Rahul doesn't have that experience. Therefore, he doesn't have that judgment. This is the wrong time to change horses.
There is no right time or there's no wrong time. Let me say this. There has been a transition in politics. Mrs. Sonia Gandhi has got along, served the party, has led the party to great distinction. And obviously, there is a fatigue factor which will come in. So we must position Rahul Gandhi at an appropriate time when she can guide, she can be a mentor.
But he takes over the running.
Absolutely.
Or what is this appropriate time? We're into April 2015. Do you believe Rahul Gandhi will become party president during the course of this calendar year?
I cannot say that. It's a decision which Mrs. Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi have to take.
Well, in which case then you're coming reasonably close to what Sandeep Dixit and Amarinder Singh was saying. Because if you can't say it will happen in 2015 and they are saying that you need Mrs. Gandhi for 2 or 3 more years, you're coming very close to that.
Not at all. I'm saying this is a decision for Mrs. Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi. This is not a decision for me to take. But if he's to come early, great. If there's going to be a delay, great.
Would you have a problem if he became party president in this year itself?
No, certainly not.
None at all?
None at all.
Let me put 2 other things to you. Rahul Gandhi has gone on a trek to Kedarnath at the moment. Some people call it a pilgrimage. The newspapers are speculating that this is being done deliberately to ensure that the Congress party's fairly strenuous, strong minority positioning gets modulated. People feel that in being pro-minority, you're perceived as somehow anti-Hindu. This is an attempt to change that, to add a Hindu flavor to your secularism.
You see, if you do that, you are criticized. If you do this, you are criticized. The fact of the matter was that today, Rahul Gandhi was in Kedarnath. Today was the opening of Kedarnath. Now, if he went there a week later, he could not have been there at the opening. Opening is an auspicious amount. And what took him there was his faith. It was not politics which took him there.
His personal faith.
His personal faith.
We've never seen his personal faith being expressed in this way before.
Well, you have never seen what you have not seen because it's not been on television.
But you saw it frequently in the case of his grandmother. You know, you were one of her MPs. Yeah. She didn't hesitate to visit temples. She always wore a Rudraksh mala.
Mrs. Sonia Gandhi has visited so many temples.
But
in
never
fact,
Rahul.
No, I have been with her. Rahul has just started. And today was a day. Today was a very auspicious day for Kedarnath. And I think his decision to go there, to be in Kedarnath was a decision of faith. There was no politics in it.
I'm not questioning his right to go there. I'm simply saying that in going there and in now making public a personal faith, he's showing a new side to himself.
You can also say that if he had not gone on the opening of Kedarnath, then it showed that he is leaning towards the minorities. Nobody is leaning towards anybody. Let's be clear on this. The Congress party does not stand for any religion, leaning towards any religion. We stand for justice, we stand for equity in class, caste and religion.
I agree with all of that, but you know better than me that one of the criticisms expressed by the public and the media and one of the feelings within your own party, and you've had internal reports about this, was that the Congress party was being perceived as a party that sided with the minorities, a party that was distant, perhaps aloof from the Hindus, and you needed to get the balance right. And I ask you, is Rahul, in visiting Kedarnath, shifting that balance slightly more towards the Hindu side?
I don't think there's any politics behind it.
None at all?
None at all, because this is a decision which he took, which is totally apolitical.
Okay, let's come to a second issue. The Economic Times says that there are moves amongst senior Congress leaders to take disciplinary action to punish people like Captain Amarinder Singh and Sandeep Dixit, but maybe others who've expressed in public doubts or hesitation or reservation about a change of guard at the top of the Congress party. Does Kamal Nath the longest serving Congress MP in the Lok Sabha, support such moves to discipline people?
There is no such move. Let me be very clear. There is no such move in the Congress party. They've all been saying things. I've been saying Rahul Gandhi should be made president. Now, does it mean, supposing, does it mean
That's
that
different.
does it mean it's an anti Mrs. Sonia Gandhi statement? It is not. But you can twist it and say, well, Kamal Nath does not want Mrs. Sonia Gandhi. So let's not try and twist it. Let's be clear that if they've said so, they've expressed their personal opinion, there's no harm in it.
Yours is a very convincing and clever example, but let me put the opposite to you. Let Rahul Gandhi be party president is not going to be perceived as criticism of his mother because he's her son. The problem is when people are saying that Rahul's takeover is imminent, and then someone like Amarinder or Sandeep Dixit says, no, it shouldn't happen. Mrs. Gandhi must continue. We need her for her experience. We need her for her judgment, suggesting Rahul doesn't have that experience, doesn't have that judgment. That is definitely perceived as critical of Rahul, if not anti-Rahul. That's why I ask again, will they be punished or disciplined?
I don't think there's any move to punish them.
Don't think? Or do you actually know?
I know. There's no such move. I know it. I mean, that's not the Congress way of working.
So you're giving me an assurance that there will be no disciplinary action?
Absolutely not.
All right. Let's come then to the wider issues of opposition to the land acquisition amendments and the farmers' distress, which are in a very real sense the very heart of Rahul Gandhi's rally speech on Sunday, as well as his first intervention in Parliament on Monday. Do you believe that in the present circumstances, the government's land acquisition amendments can be taken further? Or do you believe they will have to be, for political as well as emotional reasons, set aside perhaps for a fairly long while?
Well, that's for the BJP to decide how they'd like to get
but you're
through.
a politician, you have a sense of these things.
Let me say this. As more and more people are understanding the land acquisition bill, as more and more people are understanding that the same BJP, I was the Parliamentary Affairs Minister when this bill was passed. I remember talking to the BJP that what do we do? They said we are going to support it. And they had one or two suggestions which we adopted. Only one or two suggestions, I must tell you. And we sat across and we said, fine, this suggestion we accept. They thumped the tables, they clapped the tables when this bill was passed.
But Mr. Gadkari's answer to that is that situations change, circumstances
what
change.
Has changed?
And we honestly realize,
what has changed?
Well, they believe that in fact the nature and the conditions of the bill that you passed in 2013 is not allowing development. It's holding up rural infrastructure, rural jobs, rural irrigation, all of which they believe are good for farmers. But leave that aside. Leave that aside. I'm not arguing over the content of the bill. I'm asking, do you as a politician sense that in the present political and emotional environment, those amendments can be taken further? Or will the BJP have to set them aside? What's your hunch? What's your feeling?
If the BJP senses what's happening in rural India, if the BJP is able to understand the sentiments of the farmers, well, then I don't think they'll go ahead with the bill.
You know, although no one in government is saying this formally and publicly, there are individual ministers who keep saying privately that the BJP is committed to those amendments, and if need be, it will push them all the way to a joint sitting. If it comes to a joint sitting, because of the numbers being technically on its side, will the BJP win the day?
Well, in a joint session, obviously they have the numbers. But let's come to that. There's a long way to that. It's got to go through Lok Sabha, it's got to go through Rajya Sabha, where they don't have the numbers. It must be rejected by Rajya Sabha for it to go to a joint session. So there is a journey towards that.
Absolutely, I agree. Let's take up the point. What will happen when it gets to the Rajya Sabha? The BJP also believes that parties like the Samajwadi Party and the Bahujan Samaj Party could actually support the amendments in the Rajya Sabha. Now that was before Gajendra Singh's tragic and disturbing suicide. After the suicide, do you think the BSP and the SP will support the amendments, or do you think they'll support you and your opposition?
I believe that even before the suicide, the BSP and the SP are very clear that they do not want to send a message to the farmers that this is they are supporting an anti-farmer bill.
So they cannot possibly support the amendment?
I don't believe so.
Now, my last issue. There's no doubt in the minds of politicians, there's no doubt in the minds of the press that Congress is attempting and probably succeeding to portray Mr. Modi and the BJP as anti-farmer, more importantly, as anti-poor. Today, in the emotional environment of the moment, many people feel you've succeeded substantially. But does it worry you that 2 months down the road, when emotions have subsided and tempers have cooled, Mr. Modi's magical hold will reassert itself, and he'll be hugely assisted by the enormous membership the BJP has acquired.
Well, this membership, Congress has been doing membership. I know what this membership is all about.
You mean you're suggesting it's fraudulent?
I say let's forget the membership. There is just no purpose going into it. But let me say this, that the rural India is understanding agriculture sector is in such a mess, and people are understanding that the government is not looking towards the agricultural sector at all. And 67%.
You know, that's what the whole debate hinges over. At the moment, you have a great emotional appeal when you say Mr. Modi is stealing farmers' land. And
it's
it
not
hurts.
land. It's not land. You must understand this.
It's their identity as well.
No. Not only that. Let's take what's happened to the procurement prices. Let's take what's happened to fertilizer. Let's take what's happened to the bonus. Let's take what's happening to the unseasonal rainfall and the
But that's
compensation.
not in the government's control, unseasonal rainfall.
Forget unseasonal, but it is because they can give compensation.
I accept that this gamut of issues makes up for the agrarian distress. But let's focus for a moment on the land acquisition amendments. There, you have a very emotional argument when you say this is stealing farmers' land. And that is a critical thing for farmers. But the BJP, if they get an opportunity, and I know it's a big if, could counter that by pointing out that this land acquisition is essential for rural irrigation, rural employment, rural infrastructure, and most importantly,
who's stopping acquisition?
Let me finish. And most importantly, for the creation of rural livelihoods, because farmers know that they cannot continue to be dependent on small and shrinking patches of land. They need new livelihoods for their sons and their grandchildren. Only land acquisition will make that possible. Now, if the BJP gets that message across, you could be in trouble.
The farmer is smart enough, and this point of the BJP is bogus. The Land Acquisition Act does not disallow you from acquiring land. It
just makes it more difficult.
It's a process.
But it's more difficult and cumbersome. That puts people off.
No, what do you mean?
You make it easier. The livelihoods happen faster. The jobs happen faster.
At whose cost? Easier at
faster.
whose cost? I think the project proponents should be the ones who must go through this process.
So my last question, do you really believe that when it comes to land acquisition as an issue and all the emotion connected to it, you have the BJP in a pincer?
Well, I think they have really stuck their neck out, and I think they are in great difficulty with this legislation.
So the trump is in Congress's hands?
Well, we are not going to support it. We are going to oppose it with all our might, and we'll do everything not only to oppose it, but to obstruct it.
So Mr. Modi, in your eyes, has painted himself into a corner and he hasn't got an escape?
Absolutely.
Kamal Nath, a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.